to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to The Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
Oh, yeah, it's the Changing Stage radio show, powered by the mighty WS Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in Internet talk radio. My name is Florentino. I know this because I heard that in the show opening. And, of course, we've got some incredibly just supportive sponsors. Well, first off is Pitbull Audio at pitbullaudio.com. These guys rock. If you ever need a piece of gear, or even, like, we just got cameras from there. We got a couple of Zoom Q8s for our coming show at the NAMM convention here in Anaheim. And these things are amazing, and that is all compliments of our good friends providing that to us at Pitbull Audio at pitbullaudio.com. I know our show producer, Paul Berezeski, has an eye on the Lone Star with the Mesa Boogie, so they've got all the gear. So, right, Paul?
Oh, yeah, that thing is just sweet.
And, of course, our good friends over at SIR at SIR-USA.com. They're going to be over there with us at the NAMM show. They provide all of the back end, all the PA systems, all the back end gear. So you're in good hands. If you're going on tour and you need the best stuff, SIR is that company. And like always on these lovely Saturday late mornings, early afternoons, we have a great guest, and I'm really just kind of tickled pink to talk to this lady. She has been, a powerful force in the music business. She's continuing to be a powerful force. Marcella Detroit, you there?
I am here, yes.
Hey, Marcella. Oh. Hey. Welcome to the Changing Stage radio show. And I also want to welcome our illustrious guest, Jackie Bertone. You there, Jackie?
Share what is made them.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
You know what? Just getting my feet wet, reading up on Marcella, and ready to throw my 2 cents in later on. Yeah, man. You, by the way, you sound great.
You sound great.
He's connecting in with a technology that we have. We've got some great news for about Jackie in our second hour of this show. So but first off, introductions to both of you. Marcella, meet Jackie. Jackie, meet Marcella.
My pleasure.
Hi, Jackie.
How are you, love?
Pretty good. How are you?
You know what? It's morning, and I had a late night, so I'm going to have some coffee and relax and listen to your beautiful voice and listen about your career.
Oh, thank you.
Well, and that's a good segue there, Jackie, because, Marcella's done quite a bit. But like we always do, we want to find out where the passion started with you, Marcella. Let's kind of start, back in the, when you first got that bug to be in this crazy, wonderful business that we're all in. Tell us about when you got your first start in wanting to be a singer, songwriter, and all that fun stuff.
Well, I'd always been involved in music from a very young age. As a child, I used to sing with my father when I was 4 and 5 years old, and when I went to school, I was immediately in all the school choirs and choruses, and any chance I could. I was such a big ham. I was out there singing, in shows and stuff. So I finally made the decision, and I played instruments from about age 7. Obviously, we all play recorder at school.
Yeah, right.
Then it went over from there to, I wanted to play the harp, but my parents said no because it's too big and too expensive. So I went to a less expensive instrument called the violin, which was pretty funny because we all know that a violin can be really costly, but it's a lot easier to carry to school, right?
It is, and you don't have to worry about giving your kid a Stradivarius in the beginning.
Right. Oh, I wish they would have, but and then my dad used to take me to see Isaac Stern when he came to Detroit.
Oh yeah.
And I was really inspired by that, and I picked up a guitar when I was about 11, and piano as well, which my dad taught me, and ukulele. So I always loved music. I was attracted to it from a very, very early age. I started writing songs when I was about I would say 11 or 12, but I'd always written poetry. And then when I was about 18, music was always such a comforting force to me. If I was, when I was going through my teenage kind of angst-ridden years, and the hormones pumping through my veins, I would just kind of, then I'd be angry, at the world, or depressed or whatever it was. I'd go in my room and sing and play guitar until I felt better. It usually amounted to maybe like an hour or two. Then I'd come out and feel better. Yeah. Well, at about 18, I'd already been to college. Well, I was going to college, but I had a part-time job at this real estate company. But I had also just come out of a really bad, abusive relationship with a boyfriend of mine, who was a madman. But anyway, it was quite abusive, and I remember going to this park in Detroit, as I used to do a lot, and I was playing my guitar, and I remember consciously looking up at the sky and going, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I made that decision, and I never looked.
Yeah, there's that moment.
There was that moment where I just decided this is it. And then, and how I actually got started was there was a radio station in Detroit called WABX, who was led by an incredible DJ, one of them named Russ Gibb. He used to have this, you could post your own kind of wanted, ads, and I just said, girl singer looking for blues band, and that's really how it started.
So it was the blues that kind of caught you to kind of jump into it. Was it?
Well, yeah, I mean,
because you're looking for.
Yeah,
a blues
I mean,
band.
initially, I grew up in Detroit listening to Motown, but I also got involved in rock and roll. David Bowie, a band that I was in, a band called Julia in Detroit. We opened for Bowie in 1962, which was really cool.
Yeah, that is definitely that is amazing. Obviously, under the the circumstances, the great loss that we've all suffered with David passing.
Terrifying. So sad. I just can't believe the whole thing. I can't believe it. How much it really disturbed me. And then we've had so many other deaths, and these things are going on every day. But when you can put a name and a face to it, it's somebody that you know. It just hurts that much more. Anyway, so that's kind of how it started. I made that decision, and that was it.
Wow. Well, and that's an amazing thing. And usually that's why I said that moment. I think most guests that we've had that have described that moment, that they knew this was the thing that they were going to do. And I think a lot of our listeners, that's an important thing for them, because they're all still trying to. Some of them are very new, and they're trying to figure out, is this business going to be good for them? And sometimes it doesn't matter the money, it doesn't matter the success. When you have that moment, you can suppress it. You can you could put it in the back corner of your mind or whatever, but it's always there, and then you always get back into it. I know that's the same thing for me. I stepped out of the music business for about 10 years, and then next thing you know, I'm doing a radio show and playing again and all that fun stuff. So you
stay away. Once it's in your blood, it's hard to get rid of.
Yeah, and that's it. So you put that ad out, and you've got this. You're looking for a blues band, and you're looking to put together a blues band. When did you start doing those first gigs, and what was going through your mind at that time?
Well, what was going through my mind was, I wanted to do music because it gave me a lot of joy. I didn't really want to do it because just for the money aspect. But when I started to be able to actually make money, I was like, wow, I can do something I love and make money at it too.
Crazy talk.
Cool is
Crazy
that?
Talk, yeah.
Wow. And they said it couldn't be done.
Right.
But, what was going through my mind was just to have fun and pursue my dream. And I started out and I did that. I moved. What was going through my mind was, how am I going to initially live? I moved out to a house for the first time out of my parents' house, and I lived in this big kind of farm with all these other guys. There were like 12 guys and me, and my parents were totally flipping out about it. Like, what are you doing? I just took my mattress, my box spring, and I said, well, that's it. I'm leaving, and moved there. And we just played in the local Detroit area, called the Bad Luck and Troubles Blues Band. And we just played all over Detroit. at a lot of clubs, and a lot of times there were a lot of drugs and crazy goings on. And for a while, I lived on Twinkies, about a 12-pack of Twinkies, and lived on those. I didn't really have enough money, which really pissed off the guys in the band because they were all macrobiotic. But I used to come in while they're making their brown rice, and I was like chewing on my Twinkies. They thought I was out of my mind, but
that
was it.
Keep you preserved.
Yeah, that was trying to make ends meet and just enjoy the process and all the little adventures that I went on.
Well, hey, we got a text in question for you from Shark, and he wants to know what it was like to make a band as a woman when you first started, because it's a challenge today. A few years back, how was that for you?
That's an interesting question. Thank you, Shark. I like that name, by the way. Well, I kind of fell into these situations where there were already existing bands, especially that band. The band called me. They already had the whole thing put together. But so that wasn't too difficult. I've always tried to do my own bands after that initial part of me. The first few years of my career were me joining other things that were already put together. And that wasn't that difficult. But I think being a woman in the music business it's always been tinged with a little bit of maybe prejudice against or problems being a woman and the things that you have to deal with.
Yeah. Hey, Marcella, that's our commercial. That's our commercial music. I hate to cut you short because we'll follow up with that thought in a minute. This has been the Changing Stage Radio Show, powered by the Mighty WS Radio Networks. We'll be right back in a few short minutes.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Thank you for listening to WS Radio. Improve your business and your life with useful information from experts and thought leaders. WS Radio is radio with ROI.
You may have heard me brag about Progressive Medical Center and just how much they've helped me with my health. And Dr. Goli, one thing that you have helped so many people with is migraines.
Unfortunately, there are millions and millions of Americans who are suffering with migraines and headaches, and they're debilitating because it affects the quality of their life, and they cannot function properly. At Progressive, we get to the root cause because we understand that migraines could be caused by nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, believe it or not, delayed food sensitivities. And once we determine what the real reason is, we put a plan of action together with medication that we get them off slowly, and we put them on an all-natural approach, and the results are amazing.
Incredible. I mean, there's so many people that can say they don't live their lives with migraines anymore thanks to Progressive Medical Center.
And that's what's exciting and rewarding to us as physicians, because we help our patients take control of their health, and that's why they're living well.
Why don't you get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today? Don't live in pain. Don't have migraines anymore. Just go to their website, progressivemedicalcenter.com.
This is your life. Live it well.
In the military, things can change in an instant. The Navy Mutual Aid Association, we understand because it's our life too. That's why our dedication to serving the life insurance needs of our military veterans and their families is unrivaled. Navy Mutual offers superior life insurance protection without military service restrictions and limitations. A single focus on providing the peace of mind military families are looking for. That's what we do. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve. Call 800-628-6011 or go to NavyMutual.org.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, CEO and founder of VinVillage.com and the Wine and Dine Show on Vin Village Radio. Do you have a wine, event, product, or service to promote? Then contact VinVillage.com to reach thousands of wine lovers across the country. VinVillage connects like-minded wine enthusiasts with unique and exclusive wines, events, products, and services. To learn more, contact us on VinVillage.com. VinVillage is where wine lovers connect. Hi, this is Rob Barnett, VinVillage.com, where wine lovers connect. Be sure to tune in weekly to Vin Village Radio for exclusive, in-depth interviews with the who's who in wine and food.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
Welcome to The Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
Welcome back to the Changing Stage Radio Show, powered by the mighty WS Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in Internet Talk Radio. And again, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Pitbull Audio at pitbullaudio.com. They just want you to play it loud, and you can get any piece of gear that you want there, even cameras. Like, I'm really thankful for the cameras that we have for the new NAMM conference that is coming up here next week. And we've been talking with Marcella Detroit, and she's been sharing with us what it was like to be her and grow up and be passionate about music. And our last leave off was that she was kind of talking a little bit about how it feels to be a lady in the business and some of the challenges that women face where, you know, in this kind of boys' playground, for lack of a better word.
Boys Club, they call it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. You know, on the playground, it's like, don't get on my my ball field or whatever. You're a girl, and you know, it's changing quite a bit. I mean, women are definitely, you know, when you got Taylor Swift that can come in and say, "Nah, Apple, I don't think I'm going to give you my music if you're not going to pay me." That kind of that's kind of cool. That, you know, the ladies could make that happen. But for you in that time frame, you were fortunate. You found some pre-made bands that were going on. You know, kind of elaborate more on that experience. Like, you know, what were some of the things that you had to you know, challenges, because we're going to get into some of the heights of things that you've done, and of course all the wonderful things you're doing, you know, now. But you know, at that time, what was that experience like to you know, face with, like I said, you're living in a house full of 12 guys, you know, and you know, at a time where they're thinking, you know, hey, you know, women can't play guitar, women can't write songs, women can't, maybe they can sing, but that's about it, and they can't be the leaders like you are. So what was, you know?
Right. That's happened to me throughout my career where men, and you know, I don't have a problem with men, but I have a problem with attitudes, whoever they come from, men or women. And I've had that problem with, playing with some people who have asked me what key I want to do a song, and I tell them, and they don't pay attention to me, and they look to one of the musicians. What was the key? And I'm saying, excuse me, it's in E, or it's in whatever key it's in.
Yeah.
And just being treated like, you know, less than them, which I always found unnecessary, you know. But I just think it's just a mentality that some people have. But yeah, that's always been there, and I still think it is, and I ran into that quite a bit.
Yeah.
What can you do? You can't change people's minds.
You can't, but I was going to say, you definitely can do what you've done and just be successful. You know, that's.
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, you can either dwell on it, or you can just go, well, here's what I do, and I'll just keep going onward and upward, with or without them.
And that kind of leads us. That's a good segue into this. When was the first gig where you go, okay, now I think I've arrived. This is that, you know, that, hey, this is that gig. You're sitting around going, hey, how did I get here? Because I think a few folks have felt that before.
Well, it's hard because I've had a few of those moments. I mean, there was the time when I was in this band called Julia in Detroit, and we did pretty well. We toured all around the Midwest, and then we were asked by Bob Seger's manager, Punch Andrews, to be Bob's backing band after he finished his work with Teagarden and Van Winkle on his Smoke and OP's album.
Wow.
He was looking for another band, so he enlisted us to be his band. We all went with him, and that was the first time I ever went on a plane. I'd never been on a jet before. I mean, in my family, the idea, you know, we didn't come from a lot of money, So the idea of a good time was to, let's all get in the car and go down to Metro Airport and watch the planes take off. You know, so that was the first time I was ever on a jet, and I went down to Florida, and I had my own room, and I had a really nice lobster tail dinner. I mean, that to me was incredible. You know, wow, I'm really doing well. I'm really making it. I'm pursuing my dream, and I'm doing it. And there were other moments, like when we opened for Bowie, we had been working with Bob for a while, but we opened for David Bowie. That was an incredible moment.
Yeah.
Play at this incredible theater called the Fisher Theater in Detroit. And then it was after that when I started working with Clapton, when the guys that I was in this band with, who joined Seger after Julia, and I moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where there was a giant, the music scene was incredible there.
Wow.
Leon Russell, who was the Wrecking Crew, and an artist in his right? Yeah, and the Shelter people. I wanted to go there. I wanted to meet Leon. I had all his albums all over my bedroom walls, and I said, I'm going to sing with him one day, and my mother laughed at me and thought I was completely delusional, out of my mind. But anyway, I moved to Tulsa, and then I ended up meeting him and working with Leon, and then the next thing it was working with Clapton. So working with Leon also was one of those moments where whenever I saw him perform, he had a girl, one of the females would, like, have the solo spot in the show. With Leon, I was the girl with the solo spot in the show. And I never thought that could happen. And I made it happen because that was my focus.
Yeah,
and
then you had the drive, you had the determination, and you know that passion was the spark to kind of make that happen. That's amazing. Of course,
well, yeah,
Leon
if
Russell
you can see it, if you believe it, you can make it happen.
Exactly, and then writing with Clapton. I mean, I can give you like about a million musicians that would give their left anything to do that. And you wrote a pretty big hit with "Lay Down Sally" with him, right?
That's right. Yeah. Well, I had been in his band for a few years. At that point, we toured all over the world a few times, and we were in London recording what would become the Slow Hand album.
Oh, yeah.
And in those days, we would just go into the studio and write on the spot. There was obviously money to burn because you don't really do that so much anymore.
Yeah.
But Eric said to me, "Hey, Marcy, I want to write a song called Lay Down Sally." And I thought, wow, brilliant. That's a great title. I love working. That's when I first realized I really like working with titles. It just because it leaves it pretty open. I mean, within the realm of what kind of music we were doing. It was kind of blues, pop, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I actually came up with the melody to that title. I immediately just started, but it was a completely different groove. It was a Bo Diddley groove, like a bump, 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 bump. It was that kind of thing, and I don't know, that melody, I just pulled it out of the air, the "Lay Down Sally," and it went on from there.
Oh,
we wrote the
continue.
Whole
that was good. That was great. I wanted a concert there, girl. That was awesome.
Yeah. So we worked on it all day in that groove, but we couldn't quite come up with the verse. After 5 hours, Eric finally changed it to the iconic groove that it became, and we put the track down, and I came back with all the lyrics the next day. Except for the chorus. We worked on the chorus together, George Terry, the guitarist, and I and Eric. And the next day I brought the lyrics for the verses in, and we laid it down. And then a few, 4 or 5 months later, we're on the road, and the manager came in, "Hey, you're going up the charts, Now you're number 40. Now went up to number 4 in the U.S. charts. Went gold here in the States.
Wow. And that's not all. You've sung duets with Elton John, which is amazing. How did that come about?
Well, that was much later.
Yeah.
That was in the 90s, and that was through. I was doing my own album in 1993. Chris Thomas, the incredible producer, was producing my album. He did In Excess and The Pretenders. And he was producing my album, and Elton called him and said, "Hey, I'm working on a duets album, and I'd like you to produce it." And Chris said, "Well, I can't right now because I'm producing Marcella's record." And so he said, "Oh, well, I'd love to do a duet with her." And that's really how it came about. And he said, "Just pick a song." So we decided to go for, I said, "How about a Motown classic, and we'll redo it. Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing." So he was cool with that. We did the track, and he came in and sang it with me, and that's really how it happened.
That's amazing. Obviously, you've done a lot since then. You've had your own projects. You've made groups with some of the folks with Bananarama. In fact, I'd like to bring Jackie in on this. You mentioned that you had a chance to see Jackie's info. You guys shared a few artists that you've worked with. Maybe we got about a minute and a half. Kind of share which artists you guys might have worked together on.
Talk to me.
Well, I noticed on your CV it said you worked with George Duke and Stanley Clarke. I worked with both of them. When I moved to L.A., I did a lot of session work, and I used to do a lot of work with George and Stanley, and sang on Rocks, Pebbles, and Sand, Stanley's album.
See, I never had the pleasure of recording with them. I always played live with them, the George Duke, Stanley Clarke project at the infamous Roxy Theater on Sunset. I'm sure you're familiar with the place.
Yeah, the Roxy, yeah.
And, I mean, just getting on stage with these guys. Marcella, I wanted to ask you a question a second ago.
Sure.
To this day, even in our advanced stage in our music business, do you still get nervous, that good nervous, before you walk on stage?
Oh, yeah, are you kidding me? I mean, a great acting teacher, Stella Adler, said, your nerves are your talent. It's more like an excitement, and it wells up in you. I can't wait to get out there and share it. So yes, the answer to that question is yes. Ding, ding, ding.
Absolutely. Well, I don't think we'll ever. I think when you lose that, you're out of the business. To be totally honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not excited about it, unless your excitement messes with you and stops your performance, and that's one thing. But yeah, I think it's part of being alive. We're only human.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about you?
You know what? To this very day, I take. We're running out of time here. Can we pick this up on the next segment?
That would be correct, sir. This has been the Changing Stage radio show powered by the mighty WS Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in Internet talk radio. We've been talking with Marcella Detroit, Jackie Bertone. We'll be coming right back in this next segment to talk a little bit about what's going on in that passionate moment when you get on stage and you feel like, this is me, I got to do it. So we'll be right back. Thanks, Pitbull Audio and SIR-USA.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
On the internet, your business's reputation can be unjustly destroyed in an instant. Don't wait for that to happen. Building and marketing your 5-star reputation can increase your business by as much as 19%. Take control of your reputation and have the 5-star reputation you deserve with Reputation Marketing Solutions by DSI Development. Become the go-to company by visiting 5starrepmarketing.com. The number 5starrepmarketing.com.
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention. Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
You've heard me bragging about Progressive Medical Center and how they've helped me feel so much healthier. But one thing, Dr. Agoli, that a lot of people come to you with is just unexplained pain. They just can't get any relief. Why can Progressive Medical Center's Pain Management Center help them?
First of all, we have to acknowledge that pain is for real, and you've got acute pain and chronic pain. Here's the problem. That acute pain turns to chronic, which is long-standing, and no one's getting to the root cause. There's several key diagnostic components that help us get to the root of what's causing this pain. Is it inflammation? Once we do a thorough evaluation to get the root cause, determine if it's structural or if it's a metabolic issue. And this way, we put an individualized program for pain management involving correcting the spine, using certain injections when necessary, and we get our patients out of pain quicker, and they stay out of pain because we teach them how to live their life well.
Don't let yourself live in pain any longer. Get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today at progressivemedicalcenter.com.
Progressive Medical, this is your life, live it well.
This is Bill Gruber with BizVid Communications, a Southern California video production leader. We've been honored to sponsor, produce, write, and host many of the fine programs on WS Radio over the years. So we understand how important the internet and your website exposure are. As video producers, we know the tricks and secrets to incorporate video to increase your search engine optimization and business success. Visit bizvidcommunications.com to see what we can do for you. BIZVID communications.com.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to the Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
We are back for the third segment of the Changing Stage radio show, powered by the mighty WS Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in Internet Talk Radio. And I want to give a shout out to Jim and the boys over at SIR at SIR-USA.com. You guys are awesome. You're going to be providing some gear for us. We've got some special announcements why we're going to use that gear, but we're not ready to kind of talk about it just yet. We'll be sharing that with you folks next week. But in the meantime, we've been talking with Marcella Detroit about her illustrious career. And of course, we have our amazing co-host and good friend, Jackie Bertone, here with us. And I think we left off, Jackie, at your butterflies, man. Tell us about your butterflies on stage, bro.
Yeah, you know, Marcella, touching on what we talked about a little while ago, I was playing with Tower Power here locally about 4 months ago. And somebody had mentioned to my wife, was I upset or was I pissed off? And she responded by saying, no, why? She goes, well, I approached Jack and he seemed very, very cold or very quiet. And she said, no, you have to understand something. Right before Jackie plays, he kind of takes a little bit of time to himself to regroup, get his butterflies at bay, and then as soon as those lights go on, then he comes alive.
Exactly. I don't think people understand that, because it really takes some mental preparation to go out there and give 1,000,000%. It takes focus, and you have all these people coming up to you and wanting to talk to you before you go on. Really, I think it's important to take that time, like you said. We all need to do that. It's part of not a ritual, but it's just a necessity.
Totally.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's important for people to realize too, as artists going on, that if they don't take that time, I know that being a player as well as kind of doubling as the band manager and sound guy, anytime I do a gig where I have to be multitasking, I can never be the same as if I were just being a bass player. If I could just do that. So,
right.
That's I can feel with that.
Marcella, I want to ask you a quick question also. I don't tour like I used to over the years, and I'm pretty much dedicated to the studio for the past 15 years. But a question from me to you is, what do you prefer? Are you more inclined to live performing, or do you enjoy the studio? What is your take?
I think, really, if I'm honest, I love being creative more than anything. I love writing. Maybe it's an escape from reality. I don't know. I just find it really satisfying to write and be in my studio and create.
And it's funny because the listening audience out there and also the people who are non-performers have to understand one important thing. There's nothing glamorous about touring. I mean, it's the only...
Well, exactly.
I mean, the glamour starts when the lights go on and the audience is applauding. And as I was telling Tino last week in my studio, it's a wonderful thing when you get that immediate reaction from the audience. But when that lights are down and when the crowd is left and you're on to your next show, it can be lonely out there, And then when you are blessed to be a studio musician and you're recording some of the greatest tracks in modern music, that will be around past generations when we're gone.
Right. And can we quantify that maybe by saying that, well, it depends on who you're touring with. I mean, when I was touring with Clapton, it was pretty glamorous, if I'm honest. I mean, we used to, after the gigs, we would jump in limos and go into the Learjets, so and stay in 5-star hotels. I mean, that was glamorous, but there are times when you're starting out that are not so glamorous, and I think those days are really over. The way the music business has become, I don't think, unless you're really lucky and you're Adele or somebody like that who's, maybe making some money on music, because now that it's all free, it's kind of difficult to make as much money as we used to make on it. But I think the glamour has been kind of siphoned out of it. It's a little bit more of reality,
And I agree with you because, through the advent of social media and Facebook, I have a lot of my friends that are on major tours right now, but they're tongue-in-cheek posting photos of a motor inn they're staying in versus the Sheraton or the Hilton.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
yesteryear.
Yeah, it's really changed. Yeah, it's changed, definitely.
Yeah.
But, I think anything that you really want, you have to work hard for. That's part of it. You have to be willing to put in the hard work. But now we have to wear so many different hats. We can't just be musicians and creatives. We have to be our own managers, our own booking agents, our own viral marketer, internet experts. So it's a different world, and in some ways it's great. In other ways it's, wow, really overwhelming at times.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case here. And you've been doing such a good job. That's a good segue into what's going on now. You've got a new album, right? Gray Matters.
That's right, yes.
Tell us a bit about that.
Album that I released myself. I have some people that have jumped on board and are helping me, like Barbara Sobel, which is our connection.
Yeah.
Who is really well known in the dance world, and she's helping me release a past hit that I did with Shakespeare's sister back in the 90s called Stay. She helped and got some remixes done. But yeah, this album I released last year, like around in August, actually, and went over to England and did some promo on it. I got on a few stations, and just to be able to get on the stations that I wanted to get on, because I hired a radio plugger, a person who actually goes to radio with their connections and says, they kind of peddle all the artists that they're representing, and they took my album to a few key stations over there. I went over and did some interviews. So yeah, I was disillusioned with the music business, and I came out of a bad deal, and I didn't write for 3-4 months, which for me was, wow, that's a long time, because I write like a lot, several times a week. I'm always being creative, and then I just decided I'm going to sit down and write and see what happens, not try to have all these expectations, these grandiose ideas about it, and just have fun and just do it for my soul. Yeah. And so I kept writing, and I wrote, one song, and that led to 6 songs, and I was like, wow, these are sounding really consistent. And I produced them all at home, and I decided to go forward and do an album, and I just did it myself and sent it off to a guy who mixes stuff that I've written with in England. It's amazing what you can do these days, right? I mean, Absolutely. I can record all this stuff at home and send all these audio files clear across the world, and then somebody sends me something back. That sounds like a record, so it's pretty cool. But, yeah, that's what that was all about. And then designed the artwork, and my son, we have like a family business here. My husband helps me with some engineering, also helps me with art, with videos, and my son does artwork. So, hey, I've got my own little family team. Pretty cool.
Your own family
Marcella,
label.
If I can interject, Marcella, share with us the meaning of Gray Matters and how it was spelled.
Well, it's spelled Gray, and Matters is spelled with a Z at the end of it. And basically, it's really everything that I was thinking about back then. I was thinking about, there's a song on there called Digital Age, how everything's so different now in the age that we live in. I mean, I grew up in a time where, wow, you actually went over to kids' house and you played. You actually interacted socially with people. And so, and now, what kids are growing up with and what is the norm in our society is so different. And it's not a bad thing in some ways, but in other ways it is. I watch my son grow up with, the digital age and, with video games. And I think it really maybe hampers people's abilities to be socially interactive, although my kid is actually really good at that. But I just noticed the world around me. It's a different place.
You remember
yeah, that's scary.
I'm sorry, we got a little bit of delay. You remember the cool kids in the neighborhood out front of their house where all the bikes were piled out because that's where they were hanging out.
Right, and they were riding their bikes and they were doing things together. You know, it was a whole different world.
And you came in when the street lights were on.
Right, that's right. Yeah, exactly. I came home from school. Bam! I was outside and I was playing with my friends. And when the street lights came on, or my parents called me to come in for dinner, that was it. You know, and then it was homework time and whatever.
And there was only one time they called also.
That's right. It wasn't like, oh, wait a minute, I'll be there. If that happened, they'd come out there and pull you in by your ear or whatever.
You know, and Marcella, I'm looking at your title of the album itself. Kind of made me a little bit melancholy. My mom, who left me back in 1992, her philosophy was that there's only black and white, good or bad, right or left, etc. And in black and white, when you mix black and white together, it becomes gray, and nobody operates in a gray area. So it made me think about that.
Right. Well, that's part of it, because there is a lot of gray area, and I think it's ignored, and that's what all these things are that I was thinking about. You know, some of it involves the gray areas, things that we don't really think about. We think, things are just one way, but there are really so many different aspects to whatever subject it is that you're thinking about.
You know, and when I got asked to do this little co-host interview with you, I kind of indulged and overdosed on everything Marcella, and I got to tell you, and without embarrassment, I became an instant fan overnight of you.
Oh, thank you.
Very cool vibe.
I'm the thing that wouldn't go away. That's what I call myself.
You're here to enrich this world with just great music. We're going to be taking another break here. We got to take a pause for the cause, pay the bills, and all that other fun stuff. This has been the Changing Stage radio show, powered by the mighty WS Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in Internet talk radio, with Marcella Detroit and Jackie Bertone take over. Thank you, Pitbull Audio at pitbullaudio.com, as well as SAR at SAR-USA.com. And make sure you go to Marcella Detroit's site at marcella-detroit.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
On the internet, your business's reputation can be unjustly destroyed in an instant. Don't wait for that to happen. Building and marketing your 5-star reputation can increase your business by as much as 19%. Take control of your reputation and have the 5-star reputation you deserve with Reputation Marketing Solutions by DSI Development. Become the go-to company by visiting 5starrepmarketing.com. The number 5starrepmarketing.com.
I raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children. After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The World Link program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
You've heard me bragging about Progressive Medical Center and how they've helped me feel so much healthier. But one thing, Dr. Agoli, that a lot of people come to you with is just unexplained pain. They just can't get any relief. Why can Progressive Medical Center's Pain Management Center help them?
First of all, we have to acknowledge that pain is for real, and you've got acute pain and chronic pain. Here's the problem. That acute pain turns to chronic, which is long-standing, and no one's getting to the root cause. There's several key diagnostic components that help us get to the root of what's causing this pain. Is it inflammation? Once we do a thorough evaluation to get to the root cause, determine if it's structural or if it's a metabolic issue. And this way, we put an individualized program for pain management involving correcting the spine, using certain injections when necessary, and we get our patients out of pain quicker, and they stay out of pain because we teach them how to live their life well.
Don't let yourself live in pain any longer. Get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today at progressivemedicalcenter.com.
Progressive Medical, this is Here's your life, live it well.
Which sandwich is healthy and tasty? Which sandwich can come on bread or in a bowl? Which sandwich comes 51 different ways, so it's always your way? A which sandwich. Stop into our shop in Hazard Center. We're upstairs from the Hazard Center Digiplex. Bring in your movie ticket. We will add a free drink and chips to your sandwich order. Or order online at whichwich.com, and we will have it ready and waiting. WHICH, whichwich.com.
To me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to the Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
Wow, this has been the Changing Stage radio show powered by the mighty WS Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in Internet talk radio, and it's going way too fast because I'm enjoying this too much here. We want to give a big thanks to our folks and friends over at SIR. Jim and the crew over there provide all the gear for the touring musicians around the world. And I know that our guests as well as our co-hosts have used them many times and since the 70s they've been around. So. And we've been talking with Marcella Detroit, and again, that's at Marcella, MARCELLA-Detroit, DETROIT.com. I have to think through the spelling of Detroit. And you can definitely take a look at her there. You could also look her up on Wikipedia and just hear about this or read about this illustrious career that she's had. And of course, our good friend Jackie Bertone here, who is co-hosting right now. I think Jackie has a few questions for you.
Yeah, Marcella, question for you, young lady, as I turn my mic down just a skosh. I don't know how you're feeling about it, but I have always been the advocate that the word music and the word business should never share the same sentence. What is your view on that?
Well, yeah, it shouldn't, because music isn't really necessarily about business. It's about that other side of your brain, the creative, free, loose side. But unfortunately, I think especially these days, you really have to be on top of your business, because if you don't, it's going to be hard to survive in it in so many ways. Yes, I understand what you're saying. And in an ideal world, I agree with you, but I don't think it's really the case anymore.
I just actually feel sorry for the young up-and-comers, for the lack of a better word. I mean, I've been in this industry for 30-plus years, and people know not to F with me to a certain level. When they think they're slicker than sandpaper, I call them out on their shit, for the lack of a better word, also. And, and the thing is, they assume because we are musicians and we are the crazy-looking ones that don't look at the norm, that they can get over on us because they have that degree or the lack of degree. I guess that the world was run by more musicians and government had musicians in there. We wouldn't be in the position that we're in right now. That's my feeling, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest mistake for any musician and or artist is to kind of give over the power to somebody else and entrust somebody else, like your manager or accountant or whatever, to just kind of take care of things and just, lend a blind eye to whatever they're doing. I think it's important for everybody in the business of music really needs to be aware of what's going on and not, put your head in the sand about things. Because, trust me, like you, I've been in the business a long time, and I've had so many people try to, mess me over. A lot of them got away with it because I wasn't really aware. But, no more Mrs. Nice Guy.
Well, and also, too, like you said earlier in the last segment, it's pretty amazing how we can, before we would be stuck in these massive mausoleums called studios, and everybody kind of sat around in the big group and they recorded, or we were brought in for overdubs. But I got to tell you, for the last 10 years, Tino has actually come to my studio at my home. There's nothing more amazing than having all the major labels now sending everything through a WAV file, MP3, and you're recording, and the best thing about it is once that album is getting ready to be released and you look on the liner notes, which we are lacking nowadays of any new releases, and seeing your name on that and knowing that you recorded this hit out of your home studio. I mean, the days of the big studios, I think, are somewhat passé.
Yeah, someone was asking me about that the other day. I think, in L.A., so many of them have closed down because of the advent of, the computer, the home studio, the home computer, and there's so many great programs that you can use. I used to have, back in the 90s, I had a giant board, like a Trident board, and a 2-inch tape machine, and it was really fun. I felt, wow, I'm like a proper studio. But now I'm just down to my iMac, and I have, audio interface and a mic pre and some good mics, and it's incredible what you can do at home. But I do kind of miss, there was a thrill of, of going into a real studio. It had a smell, and it had a vibe, and there was just something special and exciting and inspiring about that. But still,
isn't
it's cool to be at home.
I'm going to jump.
But it's also cool. Don't you miss the fact of that big 2-inch tape, and you're looking over that, and you're hearing them rewind that sound, and them picking it up and so on. And truth be told, I'm not going to lie, but when I'm in my studio, and it's just me and my Pro Tools and my mics and my rig around me, I act like every once in a while I'm pushing the talk back button to myself just to make it sound like I'm not here by myself. And then I realize the fact that I really got to stop doing drugs during the afternoon hours.
I was going to say, maybe you should look into that personal act, whatever it is that you're doing. But I get it. I mean, I have a talk back in mine too, but I don't use it.
Yeah,
of course.
Now, I'm going to jump in here, Jackie. I think you're correct about the way the business has changed from a studio side. Although I think that working with emerging artists, a lot of them are starting to be bands now. I'm starting to see a lot of bands, and in that particular case, I know that it was like even particularly with my band, we like to go into a studio and record at least the rhythm tracks uniformly, so that we're all in the same studio. We're looking, we've got that that piece, but I know that that's not always going to be the case, and sometimes if you want to play with somebody that's halfway around the world, this is a blessing. Even the technology that we're using right now, it's studio technology where you can record in one studio. You can do the tracking in one studio, and it's actually recording in another. So it's a pretty amazing thing that we have nowadays. So,
Marcella, can I ask you a question, please? With regards to equipment, endorsements, what you prefer, what your mainstay is, your meat and potatoes, for the lack of a better word. Go ahead and expound on what you love. What's your joy? What manufacturer, etc.
You mean what do I use to record with us? My preference.
No, that, and then of course your instrument. When the most important, what is your instrument that you love? What kind of a mic do you use? Do you have the endorsements for those?
Right. I'm using Logic Pro, and I've been using that for many years, like at least 15, almost 20 years now, and I love it. Let's see, I have a UA Universal Audio mic pre, LA 610 Mach 2, which I really love. It's nice and warm. I have a few different mics. I have a Neumann mic. The model is it's a TLM 19. I think it's a 193. Yes, and then I also have I bought a different. I have a few different mics. I have an AKG 414. I also have this new blue mic, which is actually pretty good for a really reasonably priced microphone. That's what I use for as far as mics go, and I have a few other mics to mic like guitars and stuff, a Shure, and let's see, I have a few different amps, but mainly I don't really use amps. I use plugins and stuff. Sometimes I use I have a really cool old Fender Super Amp that I use for certain sounds, and an Acoustasonic, but I use that mainly for gigs. But I use, all my guitars. I play Strats, and I have Martins. I love Martin guitars. I still have a Martin guitar that Eric Clapton bought for me back in the 70s. It's a 1949 0018, and I love Martin. And my favorite Martin guitar that I use for gigs is this really cool model. It's called a SPDC 16R. It was manufactured in 1998, special edition, and it's an acoustic electric, and it's really the best acoustic electric that I've ever used for live performance.
Hey, Marcella, I hate to cut you off, sweetheart. The end of our show is here. It's been a blessing. You're amazing. We've been talking with Marcella Detroit, Jackie Bertone, co-host. We love you. We have to have you back on soon. This has been The Changing Stage. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Progressive Medical.
Hey, this is Heidi Rue, and you know, Progressive Medical Center has literally changed my life and my health, but I'm not the only one. Adele suffered from bone deterioration, bone overgrowth, profound muscle discomfort, physical exhaustion, and mental fog. In fact, the bone deterioration becomes so serious that she had to have back surgery. Well, after the surgery, she still didn't feel well, and so that's when she heard about Progressive Medical Center. Progressive Medical Center discovered that her adrenals weren't working properly, her hormones were out of whack, and the drugs she had been taking were doing more harm than good. Adele came into Progressive Medical Center in a walker, physically and mentally exhausted. But now she's a world traveler. She hikes and walks several miles a day, and it's all thanks to Progressive Medical Center. 770-676-6000. 770-676-6000.
Progressive Medical. This is your life. Live it well.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine, and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, VinVillage.com, where wine lovers connect. Be sure to tune in weekly to Vin Village Radio for exclusive, in-depth interviews with the who's who in wine and food.